The first gun to be introduced in Africa was in the 1470s by a Portuguese explorer who was looking for the new loot to India. And since its introduction into Africa, the gun has gone on to fuck Africa for centuries. In fact, saying the gun fucked Africa is an understatement. Today, Africa is the worst continent known for bad things like extreme poverty, Africa, diseases that can turn a holy pope to Epstein, Africa, people who ride glaciers instead of having high-speed trains, Africans. Okay, the last one is cap, but the point is Africa is worse. But how? How did the gun turn Africa into a laughing stock? Yet before the 1400s, Africa was far, far better than Europe. Yes, I mean sub-Saharan Africa, not Egypt, was better than Europe, with kingdoms like the Great Zimbabwe so advanced that it was competing and trading with the big leagues of China and India. I seriously mean it. Around 1000 to 1300 AD, Europe was so poor, so bad that they were dying of a rat disease. In fact, it was Africans who were teaching European basic sanitation like washing hands. But all this changed and Africa now is the worst. Why and why is it the gun? Well, the answer is that the gun was a catalyst for something that was being practiced on a small scale during that time, i.e. slavery. Then, slavery was mixed with two more factors and everything blew up. The factors were 1. Europeans and African leaders. Now, let us make the connection between these players and see how the gun became the center for all of this. First, African leaders wanted guns to fight their wars. The guns made winning wars much easier, especially if you were fighting with someone without a gun. This forced other African kingdoms to also go get guns because they knew losing a war meant being sold to slavery. Yes, ancient Africa practiced slavery like any other place in the world at the time, but it was not a life sentence passed down to your kids. Slavery in Africa was usually as a punishment for losing the war. But since the gun had increased wars, the slaves immediately had become abundant. Then enter Europeans who had discovered the new world. America, baby! And they needed slaves for plantations, and all they had to do is supply more guns to Africans. This is also true with Arab slave trade. When they got guns, the slave trade grew exponentially. So yes, the practice of slave trade went extremely wild after the gun entered Africa. It's like how you can be cooking with firewood, then you discover cooking with electricity, and now you can cook thousands of food in seconds. Your people eat a lot and they become fat. Even if electricity is not the one that made the people fat, it just facilitated people to eat a lot. Now, we need to see the effects of the increased slavery due to guns on Africa. 1. The slaves were young youth who were in their prime, so they were the ones supposed to be producing and feeding African population. 2. They were the labor force for Africa. That meant all the skills Africa needed to transit into industrialization was taken to America for growing tobacco and cotton. 3. These young men and women were the fighting force that was supposed to defend Africa, and with these factors, Africa was doomed. Let us go back and summarize. People blame slavery for the issues of Africa, which is true, but what facilitated this exponential growth of selling Africans was the gun. And Africans realized too late after losing young people. It would take Africa centuries, literally hundreds of years, just to rebuild the population that was shipped away. Thanks for watching. Kwaherini pochini, tutaonana.